Hi, I'm Penny Hill with EFT Tapping for Stress Relief and the creator of the Habits of Happiness courses. So, one thing that I see is that people are tired of the negativity in their heads. It's like having a negative radio station in your head, and every time you tune into it, there's some sort of shaming, blaming, or complaining going on. And people are just get sick of listening to that soundtrack. But there it is. And how do you get rid of it? And why is it there? Well, I've talked before about, and I talk a lot about the amygdala because it's such a big player. The amygdala in the brain is always looking for danger or negativity, because that's how you see the danger and get mobilized to fight it if you can't run away from it. And if neither of those work, then you freeze. And that worked very well for us in the evolutionary time when stress was usually an event, an assault from, actually, there wasn't a lot of physical violence between folks, tribes, and things as much as we might be led to believe. But tigers and natural disasters, events, much like today, most of us don't live in life or death situations all the time. But these resources are there to help us stay safe, to identify danger and deal with it in the short term. But modern times, these days, our stress is long term. Now, we still do have occasional life and death situations, but by and large, it is societal stress. It's sound, it's noise in the environment, pollutants, politics, that sort of stuff, right? So we're under stress all the time. And the upshot of this is that stress hormones make a much bigger impact on your brain than happy experiences generate. And the reason is, if you've had a negative life and death situation, you really want to remember that so you don't do it again. Don't put yourself in that situation again. Happiness and positive experiences are not life-threatening, so they don't encode as strongly on our nervous system. So it is much easier for us to fall into that negative mode of thinking and feeling than it is to engage in happy, positive thoughts until we train our brain otherwise. So I'll share with you a personal experience of mine. When I was a kid, I had these obsessive negative thoughts of a very specific variety, and I didn't like them. They were constant and they were negative and ugly. So I made a decision that every time I had one of those thoughts, I was going to make myself have 10 positive thoughts. And I instituted that program, and eventually those particular negative thoughts extinguished themselves, and they've never come back. And this is how you train your brain. The brain is always going to want to drift into that negative lane. So keeping in the positive lane requires that you take actions. And this is where the habits of happiness comes from. Because like anything that you want to achieve, you have to develop the habits that will make that happen. If you want to run a marathon, there are steps that you have to take to do that. And they have to be habitual. It can't be, I'll train on Monday and then I'll skip a week and then I'll train on Tuesday and Friday and then I'll lay off for a while. No, you have to do it regularly and maintain that effort. So whenever you find yourself having a negative thought, what I want you to do is redirect and replace, and repeat and repeat. Redirect and replace. Redirect and replace. If you have regular negative thoughts when you are driving to work, either about the traffic or about where you're going, listen to those thoughts, because especially if you're having negative thoughts about going to work and being at work, you are literally setting yourself up to have a more negative day. So replace those thoughts. So you may be concerned about a meeting that's coming up, and the brain is going to drift into the negative lane and go, I don't know how that's going to work, and if so-and-so shows up, I'm going to be even more stressed out, and what if I stumble over my words, and yada, 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 yada. So rather than doing that, you can redirect and replace those thoughts with, even if that guy shows up, I'll be prepared and I'll be okay. Even if I stumble over my words, everybody stumbles over their words. That's no big deal, right? So reframe the negative thought. Whatever that impulse is, replace it with a positive one. Now you might be thinking, oh my God, that's a lot of work. Am I going to have to do that forever? Am I going to have to pay attention to my brain and every time it's thinking and everything it's thinking, and then I'm going to have all these positive thoughts? That just sounds exhausting. Well, if you are, you're listening to your brain again, right? Your brain is a unique creature. It does not like to change, because change requires it to use resources, and it's very conservative of its resources. But on the other hand, your brain likes novelty. You know, you like new movies and new games and new experiences. So you have to find this fine line that is not going to drive you and your brain crazy in the short term, because the thing that says this is too hard, right, is your brain just telling you, we'd rather not change. Thank you very much. We've kept you alive just like the way you are now for so long. Let's not rock the boat. That would just take so much energy. And the truth is, for a little while it will. You will have to make a program of paying attention to your thoughts and replacing them. You don't and you can't hear and pay attention to every thought in your head. You have like 60,000 of them a day. Right? That's a lot. I mean, it's always ticking up there. So whenever you actually pay attention to one, that's enough. Grab that one, look at it and go, is that really a real fear? And if it is, deal with it. If it's not, if it's just negative ruminations, replace and redirect. Redirect and replace. And do that over and over. And just like I did when I was a kid, eventually, and you know, some things might take longer to rewire than some other things, because some things are more deep-seated and some things have a bigger impact on your nervous system. So don't be worried if something takes a little bit longer to extinguish than something else. But let me cycle back to the beginning of that thought. If you do this, you will develop the habit of staying in the positive lane. Now, you will have to maintain your efforts to some degree to maintain your lane. If you stop your habits of happiness, eventually you will drift over into the negativity again, because that is the brain. It's the human brain. And it's a wonderful thing, but it's always going to be there. And without you positively driving and directing the course, it's going to just drift back to its old way of being. But the good news is that when you are in the habit of doing positive things and thinking positive thoughts, engendering positive feelings, being kind, these things become habits, and they are themselves self-replicating because they feel good. And every time you have a choice to do or say or feel something, do I want to feel positive and happy, or do I want to feel all slumpy and negative? You probably want to feel happier. So it becomes very self-enforcing, reinforcing as well. So don't let your brain tell you it's just too much, right? It's not. And even if it were, it's your life, right? Isn't it worth it? Aren't you worth it? I think so. So that's it for now. I wish you a joyful heart while you rewire your brain for positivity. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.